Hey guys, well, I just came back from my great aunt's house because I had to cut her grass again. So that's why my PAS 230 is out, and as well as the PB 500T because I use those. And so this video, I thought I'd do a video on getting my Echo HC 150 up and running again. And I'll show you on how to replace the carburetor on these hedge trimmers. Sometimes it's just always the best to actually replace the carburetor. So usually, like, if you have problems of your machine running, and if you checked your carburetor, and if it all looks good, and if you've also tried replacing all the hardware like your diaphragms, the metering levers and needles, all that, and if it still seems to give you trouble or just still not wanting to run right, then it's probably you're better off to just get a new carburetor, because the ethanol in the gas can just damage these permanently. And so that's just usually the best thing to do. And besides, with a new carburetor, your machine will run so much better. And as you see here, I pulled off my fuel lines and grommet, and I've actually found a problem. My fuel grommet is cracked again. And so I went on partsshoe.com and I got me a fuel line kit. And so this is it right here. It's already got the fuel lines all on, the grommet, and the part number. Part number for this kit is 900103, and here's your model numbers at the back, and of course HC 150, and that's the hitch trimmer that we are working on. Okay, so just installing all of this together. The fuel filter part, just gotta insert it down into the hole like this, right down in there, and then now just get your grommet put right onto the tank. Alright, so the whole new fuel line and grommet assembly are put on. I do find that having putting the grommet on with the fuel lines already on it is a little bit harder though. So I usually don't buy these kits that much. So now we'll tuck our fuel vent right into its little pocket, which goes right there. And so now we'll go and get our new carburetor. Alright, so I got my new carburetor here. Cost around $52 on mowersforyou.com. And there it is right there. So I just try to get this out. So on how this carburetor goes on, you want to put it on, has to go on just like this, where the primer is facing towards the ground. So that's basically on how the carburetor is going to go on this machine. Alright, so we'll get this new carburetor on. So we already got the whole air cleaner assembly here. And if I can try to remember exactly the way this all goes on. Alright, so I remembered where it goes. So the choke lever's got to be pointing up, and the primer bulb has got to be down. So, and before you start to get this all back on, just make sure you install this gasket that goes between the carburetor and the intake manifold. Alright, so now we got all this together. Now we can just get this back onto the machine here. And just like this, and go ahead and get the screws all started up here. Just to make sure that it's all bolted in place. Next, install your throttle, which I had almost forgot to do that. So we just put it in just like right through there. Okay. Alright, so hang on a second. And we have the throttle installed. And make sure it's opening the carburetor all the way, just like it is right here. And make sure that you do tighten up these screws evenly to ensure that the carburetor goes onto the machine nice and evenly. Otherwise, it'll cause an air leak and your machine just won't run right. Next, flip your machine upside down and install your fuel lines. So the clear one will go onto the connector onto the left, and then the black one to the right, and I'll get those connected. Alright, so fuel lines are connected. Sometimes to make it easy to insert the fuel lines onto the nipple of the carburetor is spray a little bit of WD-40 onto the fuel lines, and they'll slide on a lot easier. Alright, so now we'll put some gas in it, and I'm going to use the VP small engine fuel, pre-mixed 50-to-1, 94 octane with no ethanol. Definitely great fuel. I've been using these pre-mixed fuels now for the last 2 years now, and haven't had any problems with them. Nice thing about them, they have a 2-year shelf life on them once after you open the can, and they'll have a 3-year shelf life before you would open it. So definitely great stuff. Pretty much everybody that has a small engine that doesn't use their small engine equipment that much, I would recommend this stuff. Alright, so let's prime up the carburetor. Let's see if it's picking up any fuel. Yep. Yep, it's working. So let's see if it'll start. Alright, let's see what this thing does. This will be the first startup on it with the new carburetor. Alright, she's turned on, choked. Let's see what she does. Oh, hey, how about that? Alright, cool. She's idling a little too slow, so I think I'll probably need to do a little bit of adjustments on the idle. So cool. Well, all I care about is now I got a working hedge trimmer again. So now I can trim my hedges. Cool. So yeah, I think I do need to do some adjustments on the idle. She's idling a little too slow. So let me do that real quick. Well, now I adjusted the idle. Now it seems to idle a lot better and smoother. That's about as low you want the idle to be. So cool. Alright, cool. Now I'll give it a restart. Oh yeah, runs as good as it did when I bought it 4 years ago. Cool. So that's basically on how you install a carburetor on a Echo HC150, HC150i, HC151, or HC151i. So pretty easy. Pretty easy to do. Sometimes that's just the way to go. Sometimes get a better repair out of it and the machine will run a lot better. And so, yeah. So I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and I'm gonna get started on cutting the grass because it definitely needs cutting. Alright guys, so thanks for watching.